Okay. Okay. So the first thing I like to do is to check if everyone can see me and if everyone, can listen to me. So if you could say something in the chat, that would be great. Okay. Because I will get you double check. Okay. Everything okay. Margarida. Okay. Martin. Everything okay. Perfect. 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 We hear you. See you fine, Laura. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with this, big VIC project webinar. It's going to be like the very first one that launches our advanced training program, and hopefully you're gonna like everything that I talk about here. I am one out of many people here in this project. Many many partners and all sorts of roles uh, enrolled here. But I'm the one starting, and I wanted to deliver. We wanted to deliver like some real content besides explaining a little bit what we're doing here. Okay. So the idea is we have this great advanced training program that I'm going to describe a little bit. You might be interested in this program. It's going to start in a couple of months at the end of April, 27th of April. It's going to be online. It's going to be in English. And we will address something that Europe has been asking us, to design, which is XR, extended reality, and AI, artificial intelligence. Besides, all the things, all together captured in a very new and innovative program that we can offer. Because it looks like there's a great lack of this sort of roles, this sort of professionals. But I'm not going to talk, during 1 hour and a half about the program. I'm going to deliver, let's say, one lecture, one class, so you can figure out, one of the contents, one of the type of contents that we will have in this advanced training program, in this, BIC ATP. Okay. And this is one of the contents related to one of the, subjects or courses, but we will offer some additional webinars so you can get an idea, of what this thing is about. But again, it wasn't about, selling anything. It was about delivering real content, real content. This is what I'm doing today. So, let's go for it. Okay, so my webinar, it's about gamification and serious games in the metaverse. Gamification is something quite concrete. Serious games, something quite concrete. And then we are connecting them. I am connecting them today with the metaverse. And let's see what we can take here. So all these psychological derivative that we have in our technological development. So yes, we need platforms, but we need a lot of psychology in everything that we deliver. If we want people to really, really engage. So this is what I want to talk, about during this time. Okay, this is, some sort of presentation, so you can get a glance, a little bit of, what I do, where I come from, and all that. In the bottom, you can see, let's say my different hats. What I'm doing now, as I said, I'm directing the NT, which is the New Interactive Technology School of the University of Barcelona. I'm also taking care of the Serious Game Lab initiative, which is an accelerated program where we incubate 3 different startups that want to apply serious game philosophy to health sector, publicly funded. I also take care of an online master program on gamification. This is IEBS. And, I'm helping to coordinate all the technological aspects in EUNEIR, another university that we have in the north of Spain. Last but not least, I have my own company, my own studio. It's called Cookiebox. And we do, serious games for health, for education, for sports, for HR, for tourism, for many things there. And sometimes these developments happen, in metaverses or using immersive technology. Okay. It is me. I took this photo, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, or something like that. And that was just to demonstrate how everything began a long time ago. So depending on your age, you might remember what I'm, uh, taking here with my hands, or maybe you have no idea. It will depend a lot on your background, your age, and all that. But this is, an 8-bit computer called Sinclair's EX Spectrum. It was created in the 80s. It had just, 128 kilobytes of memory, and all the games were loaded. That was a long time ago, but this is how, let's say, the metaverses started for me. And if you look to the right, you will see something that you might be more familiar with, which are like these little consoles, handheld, that started also in the 80s. We've got them for like 45 years, during 45 years. And, I mean, I love to collect them. So the thing is that I used to play these games that you can see here. These games that you can see here, we don't have the best graphics. We didn't have the best sound, to be honest. But I was absolutely amazed into them. How could that happen? I mean, how is it possible that we are, playing with these marvelous beauties, 3D, beautiful sound, like pure interactive movies right now? And I could play that thing 40 years ago, with basically 8 colors, no sound, or very basic. Okay. I could play that and it was fun because the gameplay was like very well balanced. The psychology was okay. And today I want to talk about this, the psychology of the developments in the metaverse thanks to the immersive technologies. But this is very important because we could have, sorry, a ton of technology, but we need psychology like very well balanced and treated, because if not, I mean, no one will care, to be honest. No one will. It's very important, what the content is about. It's very important. The narrative, the storytelling, it's very important to understand this positive psychology that we need to design for this. So these games were great. I had real fun, and I wasn't needing, nothing more than that. Okay. And the distance from what we see here and the reality was like huge, as you can imagine. So before jumping directly to this psychological analysis that I want to share with you today, uh, I wanted to explain that the VIC program, the big consortium, is beautiful European project that we have, uh, you know, as like 3 metaverses, we could say, our metaverses, like 3 programs that we have designed. We have the advanced training program, we have the master, and we have the summer school. You need to know that the advanced training program is going to be delivered in English, online, so anyone can take it from anywhere. As I said, it's going to start in 2 months. The master programs will be delivered starting in 3 different universities, in Tech, Portugal, UNINT, in Rome, Italy, and also in EUNEIF in the north of Spain. And these master programs will be on site, presential, we could say, okay, and delivered in one or another language depending on the country. And then we have summer schools. The summer schools will be also delivered by these universities, and we also have Polini, Politecnico di Milano in Italy that will help us with that. And this summer school, it's like a great opportunity during one week. Go to one place, stay with people that is interested in immersive technologies and AI as we are, and develop working and pure learning and ability. So yes, we are designing, and we have already designed some stuff. So here you can see the advanced training program that we have in the master. Well, in fact, figure the diagram, the scheme that you see here is like the entire master. So we can see one side year one, side year two, because the master has 2 years. But the advanced training program is a subset of it. We could say that it's more or less 50% of it. So the advanced training program is more or less 1 year, maybe a little bit shorter. And then what is it that the ATP takes from the master? Okay, so you can see it there, mark it with the little black boxes, and we can see all these black arrows signaling, so that you get an idea of what you are going to get in this ATP starting in 2 months. So we see that we have one course on foundations of virtual reality and augmented reality. We also have one introduction to graphics. principles of AI for immersive systems, human-computer interaction and usability, and cybersecurity in XR, in extended reality. Extended reality means augmented reality plus virtual reality plus mixed reality. All sorts of different realities that we are designing so far. Okay, we take these 5 courses, but we also take virtual reality hardware and systems, collaborative and social VR, which means playful metaverses, gamification applied to the metaverse. This is what I'm talking about today. And we also have, and now you need to look year 2, you need to look to the right, we also have innovation, ethics, and regulation, which is very important in these virtual spaces. And of course, a final thesis, a final project, a final dissertation for the ATP. So we have like 9 things happening here, and all that is going to be, encapsulated online in English for you and touching many, many, many things. Something important is that the input profile is very broad, very open. So you don't really need a lot of, background on all these things, because the idea is to start from scratch and then to onboard you, and then can apply immersive technology, you can apply XR and AI to any sector. It makes a lot of sense in industry, it makes a lot of sense in health, it makes a lot of sense in education, in tourism, heritage, and automobile, planes, simulators, many things that you could imagine. The fact is that Europe has calculated that we don't have enough people with this formation, so we need more people to learn. But again, you can come from basically any role, backgrounds. Don't worry, you need to be like super, technically savvy or whatsoever, because the dimensions are a lot. Okay. So we have stuff regarding technical expertise, we have stuff regarding creative expertise, and also ethical insights, and of course, practical. Okay, so we need to do and to create things. So now you know more or less what that thing is, what the Virtual Innovation Consortium has designed. You know that there's a master, you know that there's the ATP, and there will be a summer program. And today I start off talking a little bit about one of the arrows here, as I said before. So if we look left and then we go to the bottom, we see this collaborative and social VR course. Okay, playful metaverses. This is what I'm, talking about today. Okay, so I'm going to develop a little bit of content, content here, so that you get an idea of, okay, so what are these guys delivering in this ATP, and what is it that I'm going to learn, and how can I apply it? So I start with my lecture now. Now you know what the program is, and then I'm purely lecturing. I will try to mark the progress through the presentation. Okay, you can see the cookies, and you can see the monster, and the monster is eating the cookies, and then we know the progress. This is one game element. This is, one way to provide with feedback. This is what we do in gamification. I want to be practical at the same time that I'm talking. And I want to share you, these beautiful cards, these beautiful lenses that were created by, a really well-known game designer. He's called Jesse Shell. It has more than 100 cards. Every card is, something important that you need to think about if you want to create a memorable experience. Memorable experience for health, memorable experience for education, for entertainment, for tourism, for heritage, something that you need to think about. Okay, so I wanted to share this card. And there's one card, and remember there are more than 100. By the way, these cards are for free in the internet. There's this infinite card that asks something like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? So you know what? I take this card, I collect it, I mark the progress. I know that I filled one spot here, and why? Well, the thing is, and you can see 2 videos here. The thing is that we are interested in virtual spaces because these spaces have many, many properties and we can use them for not only entertainment, but industrial, corporate, social, reasons. Here you can see two examples, special and the central one, but there are, lots of different, like hardware, software, like different things that you can do. Sometimes the spaces are oriented for young people. Sometimes the spaces are oriented more for the corporate world. I mean, we have all sorts. The thing is that we can use this technology. And to be honest, these spaces are not that new. We've had things like that for a long time, but these spaces are starting to really low work well, have like nice features, something that you can basically use with your mobile phone, or you can basically use, with any computer, we could say. So what is the metaverse? We could say, what is the metaverse, Oscar? Because you're talking about the metaverse. You shared a couple of videos here, and we can see like some virtual spaces with avatars, people inside, and they were interacting, and they were share, social, and they were doing like, I don't know, some sort of missions or whatever. Well, here you can see that the concept of the metaverse, as you can see, was sort of created by a science fiction novel. I mean, that happened like 30 years ago or something. Maybe you know that novel, Snow Crash, by Neil Stephenson. So Neil Stephenson, this man, he's a writer. He used to be a writer about digitality and future and trends and all that. And at the same time, he decided to be an entrepreneur, and then he created his startup. So he has like some companies, and in these companies, he is doing like great stuff for the metaverse or for the immersive technologies. And so he was the one that invented this metaverse world, because we didn't know what the thing was. And if you can see here, he talks about the digital universe. A digital universe can be accessed through virtual reality. So I can use some hardware. I put the hardware on me so that I'm feeding my senses, and then I get inside a different space that is virtual because I'm not in reality, and then things happen there. And this is the metaverse. We are starting to see some mix, some hybrid spaces, because sometimes I don't know, these glasses, and maybe I can see through, but at the same time that I can see through, I can see superimposed like some, digital stuff in there. So there are like mixed spaces also. Sometimes it's about, mixing spaces. So this is how everything began, like 30, 35 years ago. And from there, we've seen many things. Maybe you remember the Matrix films that started in 1999. That was, a while ago. Or maybe you have read, novels like Ready Player One that, happened to be like, a very well-known movie also, and all that. So fully immersive online places where I can connect with my mobile phone and also with my computer, very similar to the real world, but everything is generated by a computer, and there are like some spaces that can be customized, and I can interact with people. There is real people, of course. I could find some, NPCs. When we talk about NPCs, we mean AI generated, people and creatures. So we could have like also some NPCs there, and blah 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 blah. Okay, this is the metaverse, and some interesting reasons for the metaverse. I listed them here. Okay, you are right there. You can make eye contact. You can share on space, so you can network. You can definitely network, and we are starting to see some systems where we can track the face, we can track the motions, we can change the appearance of the avatars. That means, like the virtual appearance that we have inside the metaverse. And this appearance might change depending on my emotion, for instance. So I could even interact in that way in those spaces. Maybe you are in the other side of the world, but we still have the opportunity to interact. So it's not just looking to a grid of faces on a screen, but interacting with real people there that can emotionally react. We might step in a digital version of a real building. So maybe we are visiting the department that a company has in another country, and we have the opportunity to see the offices, and we have the opportunity to see the views, we have the opportunity to visit the architecture and to understand how the building works, even if we, don't take a plane and we go, or we could enjoy a concert. So that happened during the pandemic. During the pandemic, there were several experiments where people were playing music and people were attending the concert, and everything was happening in the metaverse. So the idea is not to substitute. I mean, reality is wonderful. Reality is, first priority. This is clear, but the metaverse can complement in some occasions, like really, really great way. We have digital avatars. We could have places where to buy, to sell goods and services, and we can interact thanks to all the wearables, all the different equipment, haptics, HMDs, glasses, everything. We could even, like use gestures in order to interact. There is an author that you might like to check. He's called John Radoff. You can see his name in the bottom of this slide, maybe tiny. It's John Radoff. John Radoff, he's a game designer. He's a very well-known game designer. And he's also a very well-known expert on the metaverse. And he has this scheme that I like, where you can see like the different layers that the metaverse has, like an onion, with the different peels. And it's interesting. It's interesting because the metaverse needs, platform, needs technology to work. Okay. So you need protocols, you need communications, you need waves, you need bits and bytes, going back and forth. But you also need some interface. So yes, I might need some glasses, or I might need some wearables, or I might need some sort of system that is, following my gestures. And then at the same time, I need, all sorts of security. We could say protocols, for instance, blockchain, and all these things. We need to compute all the 3D, all the images, all the textures, all the sounds, all the things. So we need some computer. And then we need, as you can see, content, created inside the metaverse, so that we have places to go and we have things that can be done. And then at the same time, I can discover, because I'm interested in discovering. What's the point being inside a metaverse if I cannot discover new people, if I cannot discover new content, if I cannot discover new places, if I cannot be more efficient doing whatever thing that I'm doing, for instance, working or visiting a museum, or, wherever. And then, if you can see, I just mark it, the last one, experience. Experience is very important. The experience is what, we foresee when we land in some new place. And we need memorable experiences happening there, because then the people will stay, because it will make sense. Why do we go to the cinema? Why do we go to the theater? Why do we like theme parks? Why do we travel? Why do we need to walk along the beach, breathe, and enjoy the view and the colors? Because we are human beings and we need memorable experiences while we are, working, learning, interacting. So the experience is very important. Again, today I'm talking about the experience. This is what I'm talking about today. Okay, so experience, we need to build experiences there. Okay, well, I'm giving you another card. This is the lens of curiosity. This is a completely different card, the card of curiosity. And it looks like, if you read through it, you will see that it says something like, well, you should start thinking in the reason for the people, to be in this place and to do something there. So what is it that you are making happen inside the metaverse that the people might be interested in going there? I mean, no one is interested in going the metaverse, starting walking and, having no idea what to do there. That doesn't make any sense. You need to be curious, like a cat. You need to be interested in going there because there's something happening, there's something going on, and you don't want to miss it, right? You don't want to miss it. So we need to design that. It is not enough to create the platform, the technology. It is not enough to create, like all the 3D engine that supports it, but we need someone thinking in the experience. Okay, so we need everything. This is the length of curiosity. So I'm grabbing it, I collect it, and then I continue. And I wanted to reflect a little bit here. Okay, I have two pictures here. One corresponds to Second Life. Second Life was released, a while ago, probably 20 years ago. And The Sims was also released a while ago, probably 20 or more years ago. Second Life is a metaverse. It was created as a metaverse. It was like the first serious metaverse, we could say. Functional, really open, and with quality. And The Sims is a video game. But we have similarities here because in The Sims we can manage people. In Second Life we can meet people. We have 3D graphics. We have places. We have cities. We have furniture. We have houses, and there are things to do. Of course, if you play The Sims, you're playing a game, and then the game is telling you what the objective is. In Second Life, there was an issue at the beginning that no one knew exactly what to do there, and I know that because I was there. I was there 20 years ago. I was in Second Life. I created my own island. You could take pieces of virtual land, and I created some spaces, and I wanted to create a virtual class, and I wanted to put my university students there. I did some experimentation, but to be honest, it wasn't working properly because you had all the tools to create everything, but you didn't know, the why. The hardware was expensive, the computers were still slow, so it wasn't working properly. Okay. And psychologically speaking, Second Life was having some issues to survive by that time. And at the same time, half the population of the world and up to this day, we're playing The Sims. So how is it possible that a lot of people are interested in playing The Sims and not that much people are interested in doing something in Second Life? Well, it depends on, the questions that you put in your user's mind, which means, are they curious enough to go there? Which means, do they know what the objectives are? Because if they have no idea of what the objectives are, they're probably not going to the place because they don't really know what's the point on going there. They don't really know. And this is an issue. Second Life is still alive. The Sims is still alive. And Second Life, I think that it's much better now. Second Life is one of the metaverses. I showed you Spatial and Decentraland. There are many more. Sims is a video game. And yes, I know that Sims is a video game. And I'm not talking only about entertainment, but it's important to have objectives. You could have the better technology, the best graphics, the best thing ever. But if the objectives are not clear enough, okay, it will not happen. And I think that it's important. So maybe the issue in Second Life when it was released at the beginning, maybe they were lacking pleasures there. Maybe you would go there, you would see a lot of beautiful, 3D and sound, but what was the point? I need pleasures. I need to sense these pleasures. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. When I say pleasures, I mean intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation, the motivation that comes from inside is what I mean. On the contrary, if I would play The Sims, the objectives were very clear. Experience was super engaging. I could be rewarded. I was learning abilities all the time. Okay, there was a lot of pleasure. It was a lot of pleasure. So my point here is, if you are going to design a metaverse for a simulation, or if you are going to design a metaverse for, education, or if you want to design metaverse for automobile in an industrial platform, okay. You need people to go there and have very clear objectives. And I don't care if it's playing, I don't care if it's working, they need to have fun. So they need to sense these pleasures. The same pleasures that we experiment when we use the mobile phone, the cell phone, for instance, and the apps that we like. Not all the apps that we use in games, but we have fun with them because the design is created for pleasure. And this is important. I will evolve more and more on that. Okay, by the way, give me one moment. I need to put more light here. So give me just 3 seconds. Okay, I'm back with more light. It's getting dark and dark and dark. Okay, so the third card that I want to share with you, the third thought, is the novelty. The novelty. I like this sentence that you can see here. Scotty Meltzer. If you see, I just love this sentence. It says something like, different isn't always better, but better is always different. Interesting, right? It doesn't mean that if you do something different, it's going to be, the greatest thing. Sometimes it is not. But when you do something good, normally you change it something. You change it something. So what is it novel about your experience? What are you doing that is different? Why are you creating this space? And what are you, making happen inside of this different? Are there surprises? Because we love novelties. We love surprises. Sometimes we don't need too much surprise because then we get crazy, right? We also need some balance. We also need to be quiet sometimes, but give me a surprise from time to time. And again, I'm not talking about playing. I'm talking about life. When I'm working, I need some surprises because I don't want to be bored, right? I'm deciding, I wish I had another job or something. So experience design demands novelty, surprises, right? I collect the card and I continue. Well, in 1957, everyone was surprised when the Sensorama was released. That was the greatest thing. That thing was really new. Can you imagine this machine? It looks like an arcade machine. It looks like virtual reality device. It looks so great. That thing happened 70 years ago, close to 70 years ago. So someone invented a machine that looks like virtual reality 70 years ago. The Sensorama had 3D, wide vision, motion, color, stereo sound. You could smell things there, that wind, and it would vibrate. So it was like a 4D experience, what we call an LBE, location-based entertainment experience, like they do in rides in theme parks, for instance. Okay, that thing was a greatest surprise. 70 years ago. Very expensive, of course, very heavy, probably not that intuitive to use, but it was there. Virtual reality is not new. It's not new. It has been there for 70 years, according to Sensorama. But it has evolved a lot. These photos that I'm showing are from some time ago. If you look at this woman with the yellow sweater, she's using a virtuality system. It looks like very new. It looks similar to the stuff that we have nowadays. But if you pay attention, you will see a cable. Wow, there's a cable. She has like a cable here, so that thing looks like old because right now everything is wireless, right? Well, the virtuality system was released close to 30 years ago, mid 90s of the last century. You could play this thing. I played this thing. And if you go to the bottom and you go to the right, you will see the Virtual Boy. You will see this red headset. Okay, this is a video game console. And you could play with the pad and you could place your head there. And then you would play with the pad and you would see everything in your head with stereoscopic. So you had the sense of depth. That thing was released in 1997, I think. That was, a long time ago. Virtual reality is not new, but it has been evolving a lot, a lot. If I show you more photos, you can see here myself. This is Oscar playing with the stuff, some time ago. There are photos here from 10, 15 years ago, and you can see some of the stuff that I've been playing, with it all the time. I can see here like the BTX 3D that was 3,000 euros worth in 1998. I can see also the eyeglasses in the left, like in gray, that was worth like 1,500 euros, like close to 20 years ago. I can say there are some augmented reality glasses here, like very heavy, very different. And if you look at the right, you will see me with the Google glasses, the glasses that Google released, like the very first version that could be tested. So yes, I've been playing a lot. I've been playing with expensive hardware, with very cheap hardware, with more features, with less feature. Okay, it's not new. It's not new. Believe me, it's not new. But it has evolved. Again, it has evolved a lot. Okay, and of course we could play with some software because you have hardware and you also need software. So I remember late 90s there was this tool. It was called 3D Webmaster. And with 3D Webmaster, you could create beautiful 3D walls that could be executed, played in your browser, in your browser. So it was like a file that you would open and you had to install a plugin. And if you had this plugin and you open this file, wow, I have a 3D metaverse, ready in my browser and I can move, the space. And in fact, 10 years before 3D Webmaster, I remember that I was using my ZX Spectrum. Do you remember the computer that you saw me with at the beginning of the presentation? Okay, that computer in the 80s. I remember that I could play some 3D games in that computer that had all this, 3D appearance that you can see in these images. Although the colors were, like very limited, the resolution was like super low, but that was real 3D. So, so it's not new, but it's evolving all the time and it's evolving, super fast, super fast. These photos that you see here are like the pandemic, Microsoft HoloLenses, Samsung Gear, HTC equipment. This is more or less pre-pandemic, more or less, and everything is getting reduced and changing a lot. So regular glasses are becoming beautiful augmented reality devices or mixed reality devices, for instance. I wanted to finish with this photo because I wanted to share this evolution. Okay, these photos, I took these photos. I took these photos 4 months ago. I was in Belgium and I was in the city of Antwerp and I was walking and I see this Ray-Ban shop and I expect they, sell, let's say, regular glasses, sunglasses. And when I approach the shop, see that everything they have there is XR equipment, extended reality equipment, mixed reality, augmented reality glasses that I can buy. They look the same that I'm wearing now, like regular glasses. You can look at the right, look at the glasses. It's just amazing. But they have cameras, they have some intelligence inside, they have audio, they use artificial intelligence, they do lots of things. So the evolution is gorgeous. We had since Obama 70 years ago. Virtual reality is so new. But the evolution is so insane that we are starting to have like regular equipment, like regular glasses that are doing absolutely magnificent things. And that could change the whole picture, the whole picture. They're starting to have, hardware, inexpensive, lightweight, wireless, connected to our mobile with, lots possibilities. Of course, there are ethical implications. There are ethical implications. This is clear. Do you remember that I said that in the ATP we're going to have a subject on ethics? It's very important to talk about that because there are ethical implications. If I have my glasses and I have cameras in my glasses and I'm in the street, what am I supposed to be doing with the cameras? What am I supposed to be analyzing, recording, putting in a database with my cameras? This is something that we need to be very careful about. But this is the reality. This is 4 months ago in the middle of the street. It's not a department in a university that no one understands. No, no, no. This is in the middle of the street in a city in Belgium. So this is happening. Okay, this is happening. Okay, the rest of the team, mean the people to create these beautiful, memorable experiences for our metaverses. Well, do we have the right team? Do they communicate clear, comfortable between them? They trust because these metaverses require lots of roles and different backgrounds to be designed. I collect the card of the team. This is another insight that is very important. And then let me say that we will require a lot of co-creation in order to metaverses because it's not about technology only. Technology is very important. We need the layer of technology. Everything happens in the top of technology. This is clear. Remember the layers like an onion in the John Radoff scheme about the metaverse. In the very bottom, we had all the technology. I mean, technology is very important, but in the top of it, we need the content, we need the experience. So game design makes sense. Gamification makes sense. Serious games make sense. When I say serious game, I mean something that acts like a game to get something else rather than entertainment. So yes, I want entertainment, but at the same time, I want to get something else. For instance, other games in publicity, games for sport and physical therapy, games for health. We also have news games in communication, journalism. We can game design anything that you can imagine. This is why it's very important that we talk about playful, collaborative spaces and metaverses in the ATP. This is very original because it's uncommon. Find this sort of content in, technological products, right? While I'm saying that it's not only about technology. This is very important. Narrative, storytelling, the epic, the characters. What is it that is happening inside? Art, 2D, 3D, music, sound, effects, usability, UX, UI, the interface, the HUD. There are many things. So we need different people to work together. Like in any, multimedia production. I'm using a quite, let's say, a bit old word, right? Multimedia. It looks like old, but you understand me well, right? Audiovisual, multimedia, mixing stuff. Okay, I need different roles. Here, so a lot of population. Okay, so the team has to be diverse. I need people from many backgrounds. I need to put them together. They will be creative tension. They will have to negotiate. They don't speak the same, but I need that. If not, I'm not getting what I want. What I'm trying to say here is that if you take 5 engineers, you are going to have the most perfect technology ever, but no one knows how to design the experience. And this is very important. You need the 5 engineers, and you also need other roles, other profiles. This is why, if you're interested in this program, you can have any background because this program is directed to all the different profiles we need together and to create projects. Okay. Remember that if you have any insight, anything that comes through your mind, you want to ask, okay, remember that you can write in the chat, okay? Say to okay, let's of the player. Let's of the player. So the player is who plays. Player is the person that uses the metaverse. Player is the person that uses this extended reality space. I'm designing for the player. I'm designing for the user. I'm not designing for myself. I'm designing for other people. So I need to be very careful. If I don't really know and I'm not empathic with my final users, I will design for me. This is what human beings we do by defect. We create things that we like and we offer these things, to the rest. And this is very beautiful. It's very altruistic. But, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in terms of, commercial, right? Because you need to design for the market, not only for yourself, because you might be not representative of the market. So what is it that they like? The audience that I'm addressing, what is it that they like? What is it that they don't like? What do they expect to see in the metaverse? What is it that they expect to be able to do in the metaverse? This is very important. Very important. So I collect the lens of the player, and then I have this metaphor here now. Now it's like 7:20 CET. It's been 50 minutes, 45 minutes since the seminar started. We are more or less 50%, we are more or less in the middle of the time. We are also more or less in the middle of the progress. You saw the half of the cards. So we are good. We are good. And imagine that you are a little bit hungry. You're a bit hungry because it's like, wow, I'm starting to be hungry, going to have dinner soon. And then I come with these cookies that you can see here, these macarons. We have different macarons here. We have different cookies. And you know what? I'm offering these cookies, these macarons for free, for free. So you can take one and you can choose. You can choose. Okay, you can take one and you can choose. So let's play a little bit. Can you write in the chat the color that you would take? Can you write one that you would take? I would take pink. I would take greenish. I would take yellow. I would take, chocolate brown. I would take. Can you write it in the chat? I wait. I see that Laura likes the pink. Leah likes the yellow. Gonzalo the red. Wow, we have all sorts, all kinds. Cool. Laura likes the pink. Everyone is getting something different. Martin likes the green, so maybe he likes apple or mint. I don't know. Filipa, Margarida, and Laura, they all like the. So maybe they are thinking, wow, this is a strawberry. This is a strawberry, or something like that. And I love that. And Andrea said, I want the yellow. Maybe she likes vanilla. Or she likes, I don't know, lemon. And Guilherme likes red. Who was it? Like Gonzalo. Well, I think that I have demonstrated that you like different things. I just demonstrated that you want to take different cookies, different flavors, different colors. Okay, I'm amazed that no one mentioned the chocolate. This is where normally I get a lot of people saying, I like the chocolate, the chocolate. No one said chocolate, but it's fine. It's your taste. I'm more than happy with that. So I demonstrated that different people like different things. Okay, Nelson is the because he's mixing two colors. So Nelson, he is a disruptor, he's like brave and he wants to try something different. Okay, this is so great. Why am I talking about the cookies? Why am I talking about the macarons? Well, the thing is that designing a very well memorable gamified metaverse is like what I just did. I gave you the opportunity to choose. It was unexpected. It was a surprise. No one knew that I would offer cookies for free. So it was a surprise. It was for free, and you could choose, and you're hungry. So this is just memorable, the best experience ever. Okay, this is an example of a very well-designed experience. But what would happen if I come with all the greenish cookies, all the macarons are green? What will happen if all the macarons are green? Okay, if all the macarons are green, because we only have one time, and you are obliged to eat that time. Okay, if I come with everything green, Martin will be very happy because he said, I want green. Okay, Martin might eat all of them. But what happens with Nelson? He cannot be disruptor anymore because he cannot choose. And what about, Filipa, Margarida, Laura? What about them? They were interested in the pink, but you know what? No way. You need to eat the green. So maybe they are hungry. Maybe it was a surprise. It is still for free, but they cannot choose. And because they cannot choose, you know what? Maybe they don't take a cookie. So the experience is no longer memorable. It's miserable. I think that you understood me well. I need to give you autonomy. I need to give you choices. I need to create spaces, virtual spaces, where there is non-linearity, where everything is not written. You take the decisions, different things happen, and then you love that. And this is a very important ingredient of, positive psychological design, of memorable experiences, autonomy. Give me choices. If I do another little experiment, and I ask which one is the game that you would choose here, you can see that in the center we have 4 board games, and outside we have 4 video games. If you look at the center, we have Uno, card game, Cluedo or Clue, mystery game, Risk, strategy game, and Pictionary, social game about kissing, drawing. These are the board games. If you look outside, you will see 4 video games. You will see Lego Star Wars. You will see also Super Mario Kart. You will see also a platform game in the top, Rayman Origins. And we have also World of Warcraft, which is like an entire transmedia universe that has it has traversed everything. We have like movies about World of Warcraft and all that. And this is what we have in the bottom right. So you could choose one. Which one would you take? Can you write it in the chat? If you could choose one game or one video game, I let you choose. Which one would you play? I wait. Let's see what we get. You're writing. Very good job. Very good job. Wow, we have three dictionaries, one Cluedo, one Uno. So we have one Uno Vasily, one Cluedo Laura. We have two dictionaries, Margarida, Filipa, Martin. We have three World of Warcraft, Salo, Andrea, Nelson. Also have the World of Warcraft. So according to what you wrote, the majority of the people would take WoW, World of Warcraft. In second place, Pictionary. And then we have Cluedo and Uno. And we have a mix of people here. Well, it was demonstrated again that you like different things, that you would play different things, that you prefer different experiences and different actions. Because what happens when you play Cluedo will be related to exploring and guessing. What happens when you play, for instance, Uno, would be related to competing and being really social. What happens when you play Pictionary is very connected with creativity. And what happens when you play World of Warcraft is so complex in terms of strategy, skills, and managing complex inventories and all sorts of things. You like different things because you have different, player types, motivational profiles. We could say this is another of the facts, another of the topics that I wanted to explain here today. We have player types, there are motivational profiles, and these are different depending on the person. And it looks like that because I asked it and you didn't choose all the same, right? Well, it might look obvious, but it's not that obvious. We have player types, and I wanted to share some with you. So here, maybe it's the first time today, I don't know. Here you discover Marczewski player types. Marczewski is an Englishman with a Polish name. He states that there are 6 types of motivation when we experience. 6 types. Look at the wheel. Look at the hexagon. We'll see disruptor, the spirit, achiever, player, socializer, philanthropist. So there is people, they are disruptors. They like change. They like to vote. They like to verbalize. They like to ask why. There are free spirits. They love autonomy. They love to choose. They love to take decisions. They want to manage the experience. There are achievers. They like mastery. They want to be the best. They are like Olympic athletes. They are very patient and they practice and practice and practice and practice to be the best. Then we have players. Players like rewards. All they like is to have fun. Then we have socializers. They want to relate. They need to know more people. They like social status. They share everything. And we also have philanthropists that have a very big purpose in life and they want to help and to improve the world. According to Marczewski, we have 6 types of basic intrinsic motivation. And these types could be connected to the games that you chose. So because you chose different games, maybe you were giving me some information about your motivational profile. Don't you think that this is important in order to design the metaverse? Is it about technology only? No, it's not about technology only. You need to put there activities and missions that are connected with change, autonomy, mastery, reward, relatedness, and purpose. And then when people is inside, they are happy and they like your metaverse. And if the metaverse is a class, they like your class. If the metaverse is a simulator about mining, I mean, we love that learning experience of simulation in the mining, setup. If the metaverse is a corporate office where you can meet with your mates for all along the world, they will be so comfortable there, and they will spend time, and they will have, nice energy, and they will be proactive. This is what I'm talking about. We need to address that when we design, our metaverses. Okay. Okay. The new card, the lens of the essential experience. What is the most essential thing that I want to have, in the experience that I'm designing the metaverse? I have the glasses, I have the wearables, I have the sensors, and then I have the software, and then I have created all the 3D, and then I have the space, and then I have all inside, and then what is it essential that I want to happen? Okay, I capture the card, and then let me share something from Disney. Well, I think that everyone knows Disney here. Everyone. In Disney, they create all sorts of things. Everything is about the experience in Disney. And the people that work in Disney, they are called Imagineers because they imagine all the time. They're imagining all the time, and they create experiences, beautiful experience. You know what? There is something that they say in Disney that is quite powerful. They say that they create total guest experiences. I will say it again: total guest experience. That means that any guest, regardless of the age, regardless of the precedence, regardless of the background, regardless of the culture, regardless of the gender, any guest that goes to the theme park will have a wonderful total experience. And total means when eating, when drinking, when chewing, when walking, when sitting, when everything. Not only when going to the ride for 3 minutes. The entire day has to be absolutely magic. And I love that because it looks so difficult. Total guest experience. Everything has to be perfect. This is why they design so well. This is why going to these parks is not cheap. They invest a lot of money in all the corner, the smell, the show, right? Like that, like that. This is something that we could incorporate. Total guest experience. Not only for the people to have fun, not only for the people to learn, but also be balanced with the finances. We need to be very careful comparing the income that we get and the amount of money that we spend. Balanced. And at the same time, we need security. We need security because everything that happens in a theme park, for instance, talking about theme parks now, or a museum, has to be very, very secure because you don't want to harm people. Okay, so all these equilibriums, we need to manage all of them, and they are so clear for total guest. I think that it is becoming more and more and more clear that we need ways to do that. We need ways to design that. We need methodology to create that. And it is not only technology. Technology will support everything, but on the top of technology, there is a ton of stuff, okay, that we need to take care about. Okay, the elemental tetrad. Well, they say that when you create any memorable experience, especially if it is something digital, you will need aesthetics, which means art and sound. You will need technology, of course. We've been talking about that. You will need mechanics, game design, positive psychology, and you also need storytelling. So I need a platform. I need to show it with art. I need to tell you something. This is the story. And I need to put some psychology there so that you like it. And it is difficult to find a person in the world that knows how to do all that. This is why I said that we need a lot of co-creation and different roles and profiles. And you cannot put 5 engineers there because it's not going to work. And you cannot put five, artists because it's not going to work. Or you cannot put, like 5 storytellers. It's not going to work. You need one storyteller. You need 2 artists. You need 3 developers. You need everything. Okay? I collect the card, the 4 axis, and then I present the hamburger model. Let me share something from my company. This is the, let's say, only slide where I mention my company because this is a model that we use there. It's called the hamburger model. And it comes from Cookiebox. We've been doing serious games for 18 years. So I'm trying to share, like my experience here, right, in this presentation. And I want you to see that because in 2 weeks, you might remember like 3% of what I said. But you are probably remembering this picture, the hamburger model. So every time you create something interactive, something digital, something multimedia, something audiovisual, every time you create a serious game, every time you create a gamified app, every time you create something for the virtual glasses, the metaverse, okay, this is like a hamburger. And this is like a hamburger because you need to put it in a plate. Okay, the plate is the technology. The plate is the platform, is the technology. But the technology is only the plate. If you only have a plate and you don't have something in the top, you don't have experience. There is nothing that you can deliver. Nothing. You understand me well. Imagine that you go to a restaurant and they give you plates and you're supposed to eat nothing. Air. What's that? Well, I gave you the plate. The plate is the platform. Well, yeah, but put some stuff on the top. So what's the stuff? The hamburger. And the hamburger. What is it, the hamburger? Well, the hamburger has layers. It has layers. And we need to cover everything. So look at the bread in the top. The bread in the top is the narrative, the story. What are we talking about here? Which is the conflict that we need to solve here? Do we have characters? Do we have dialogues? We need some narrative, like in marketing, like in publicity, like in any educational lesson. There is some story. Okay, give me the narrative. This is the bread that covers everything. If you don't have narrative, everything will fall. Everything will fall. We hate projects where there is no narrative. Then we have the bread in the bottom. This is the game design. This is the positive psychology. This is what you normally don't know about. Because normally you didn't study, game elements or game mechanics or. Well, you might know, but you don't know because maybe you are a psychologist or maybe you are a professor or a lecturer and you know some pedagogy. And if you know a little bit of psychology or you know a little bit of pedagogy, even human resources, HR, you know more game design than you think because game design is positive psychology. So we need game design in order to trigger motivation, And thanks to game design, we can measure because we need to recover indicators to see what is happening. So the bread in the top is the story. The bread in the bottom is the positive psychology. And in the middle, we have the aesthetics, we have the art, we have the sound, we have all the content. All the content. And be careful because sometimes the content is very, how to say, very rigorous, very formal, very serious, very true, but absolutely boring. People, they don't like PDF files with 300 pages, letters that tiny, and no drawing. We don't like that. Even if everything that is written there is true, we don't like that. We like movies, we like series, we like comics, we like, no? So you need to take the content and you need to change the shape and you need to offer it in a memorable way. And then the same content is loved by your user. So you need to tune the content, you need to put beautiful aesthetics, you need to cover it with a good storytelling, you need to be sure that you motivate, that you engage people, and then you put everything in the plate that is the technology. But remember, the technology is the plate. We need it, but it is only the plate. Hamburger model. Okay? Hoffman Ricard here about the balance, how to balance an experience, the balancing. Does my game feel right? Does my metaverse feel right? Does it feel right when I use it? Because sometimes there are things that you use them and it's like, odd, like wait, it's like, I don't know, there's something here that I don't like. You go to the cinema, for instance, and there's a movie that there's something that you don't know what it is, but you don't like. I didn't like that movie. I need to think about. But I didn't like this movie, or a series that you don't like. Or you go to the theater and there is something, okay, this is pure balancing. I collect the card of the balancing because you need to balance the experience. And I just wanted to mention for you to know, and we can practice that in the ATP, of course, but today I don't have time, right, to practice everything. But I can explain so that you know some things about experience design. Uh, Balancing exercises, balancing metrics, as you can see in the right, moments where we sit with the rest of the team and then we take some decisions about the metaverse experience that we want to decide. And these decisions that we take are related to equilibriums, as you can see here, to different equilibriums, and everything is important. It's not good or bad. It's not good or bad. So what kind of experience do we want in our metaverse? It will change. Maybe it's a metaverse for a museum, for a textile museum. Imagine that. Or maybe it's a metaverse for education on geography. Imagine that. Or maybe it's a metaverse for automobile design. Okay, imagine that. Or maybe it's a metaverse to, get together, practice, music like in a jam. Okay, what is it that we want for our space? Do we want our space to be random and chaotic or absolutely predictable? We want there to have like difficult activities or very easy because maybe it's for kids. Do we want everything with sense or with no sense because it's fun? Do we need, skill like when playing chess? Oh, no, 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 no. Everything is driven by chance, like when you roll a dice. Do we want to think a lot and to use the head, or do we want to, use our body, use our hands? It's about competing, it's about cooperation. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Is it a short experience or a long experience? Are we rewarding all the time? Well, maybe we need some punishment because then rewards make sense. Do we want people to be free and to do whatever thing they like? But maybe they might get lost a little bit. So we need a more guided experience. Are we giving a lot of detail or not? They can imagine. Is it a disruptive experience? Is it traditional? Can you see all those equilibriums? Okay, these are things that we take into account when we game design things. And this is very important. We need to take all that into account because depending on the sector, depending on the objective, depending on the people, okay, the balancing might be, like a bit different. Okay? Gonzalo is asking something, but I will answer later. Okay, Gonzalo, because it's something very specific about, where could I learn about psychology in gaming development? Well, I should see, Gonzalo, that you should come to this program, you should do the ATP, and then you should take the course, right? The course on playful metaverses and collaborative VR spaces. Well, there we will talk about that, of course. Okay. Okay. I can continue, and then I have this beautiful card about fun, elements of fun. What parts of my game are fun? What parts need to be more fun? Because sometimes we are thinking in something for health, because we want to create a virtual space in order to help physicians to do the surgery, for instance, and to, feed them with additional information thanks to the glasses at the same time that they are performing the operation. Okay, but the experience has to flow. The experience has to be usable enough. The experience needs to be fun. Because when we have fun, everything is much better. So I collect the fun, and I just wanted to tell you about a little story. Do you know SpongeBob and Patrick? Do you know them? Can you write in the chat? Yes or no? I assume that everyone knows these guys, but can you write in the chat? Like, yes, I know this cartoon. I know SpongeBob. Or no, I don't know it. It's fine. Everything is fine. I'm doing a little statistic here. Well, it looks like everyone knows it. Sorry. Yeah, everyone knows it. Everyone. What do you want to say? Yes, 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 yes. I know SpongeBob, and I know. Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is one of the best cartoon ever. I had so much fun with these guys when my kids were little, and we would look, at this on TV. Like amazing, so much fun. Okay, SpongeBob lives in the sea, under the sea, and he's a sponge. He's the yellow guy, and then we have Patrick, and Patrick is like a star. He's like a sea star. And for some reason, don't ask me why, because I have no idea. But for some reason, Patrick, he doesn't go to the school. He doesn't go to the school. I don't know why. Okay, he doesn't go to the school. And then one day, SpongeBob, because he's his best friend, says, "Why don't you come to my school? Because you will see what we do, and you will make some new friends, and you will learn many things." And then SpongeBob is super happy, and then he goes. See his face. Patrick, sorry, see the face of Patrick. Remember, he's the star of the sea, right? So Patrick is very happy. He's super happy. But at some point, something happens, and then Patrick is very sad, very sad. Just a couple of seconds, and he's very sad. So what is it that happened? Poor Patrick. I mean, what is it that happened here? Well, do you want to know what happened? There was something unexpected that he doesn't like. Look at that. Look at that. What happened here? Patrick was very happy. Patrick is very sad. He looked at the wall, and then he sees, you know, this good noodles ranking that the professor has, and he's very unhappy. Can you write in the chat why you think that Patrick is very unhappy? Why? If you had to describe in one line, what would you write? He was smiling, and now he's crying. What's wrong here? What happened? Put it in the chat, please. What do we have? We have all the people in the class. We have a list of the people in the class. And it looks like we have a ranking or something. And it looks like we have little stars that are like prizes or rewards. No? We have that. Laura says, okay, there are too many stars for one solely person. SpongeBob has a lot of stars. He has, too many. And Patrick has zero, nothing. He has nothing. This is why he's crying. Because you know what? He looks stupid. He looks stupid. Because we have a ranking here. Thank you, Laura. If anyone else wants to contribute, more than happy. You are more than welcome to do that and to write. If you want to write anything else. Okay, Patrick has nothing. SpongeBob is his best friend, and he has many. SpongeBob is like super clever, and Patrick looks like an absolute idiot. You know what I mean? And this is public. Everyone can see that. Everyone can see that. Even Horace has one star and Patrick has nothing. So maybe the professor thought that it was something good to create a ranking and to show the achievements, but that thing doesn't work. That thing doesn't work. So we need to be very careful when we do gaming things, because maybe a ranking, a public ranking, is not the best solution. And that's just an example. That's just an example. Okay, we need to be very careful when designing experience. So the thing is, and this is like the conclusion of the SpongeBob story, we need to be very careful. We need to watch out with PBL. PBL means points, badges, and leaderboards. A leaderboard is a ranking. I will repeat it. Points Badges and leaderboards, rankings, we need to be very careful with those. Because maybe we think that we are engaging, we are motivating, but we are frustrating a lot at the same time. SpongeBob was in the top and he was very happy, but Patrick was in the bottom and he was very unhappy. This is not a very good strategy in order to promote positive psychology. This is called an extrinsic. An extrinsic. It's like when I give you money or when I give you a physical, tangible prize. I give you something to do something. I try to buy your soul. This is not the good way. Okay? This is not the good way. The good way is to use intrinsics. Intrinsics come from inside, not from outside. So anytime you design an experience, for instance, for your classes, and you want to reward your students, you need to be very careful and very balanced between extrinsics and intrinsics. Because you want them to be engaged for real, and you want everyone to be engaged. Okay, this is not easy, but it's the way it is. So Oscar, how can we use intrinsic? When you say intrinsic motivations, what that? And you remember that a while ago I talked about the pleasures? Do you remember that at the beginning I was talking about Second Life and The Sims? Do you remember that I said pleasure, pleasure, pleasure? Okay, let me give you some examples of pleasures. Here you have 8 very important pleasures that you should implement in everything that you do. Every time you do a web page, every time you do an app, every time you create a virtual reality experience, every time you, I don't know, write a script for a theater play, every time you want to do some sort of experience, for instance, something that is happening inside the metaverse, a virtual space, you need to include all these pleasures. This is a metric called the MDA model. This is an academical model. It's called the MDA. It is a consensus model. We people that do gamification, we all agree on that. And I give you eight hints here, 8 pleasures. Should we give rewards all the time? No. No, we said no. Should we compare people all the time so they see who is good, who is bad? No, we shouldn't do that all the time. I said that a while ago with the story about Patrick and SpongeBob. No. Maybe we can do something different, like, feeding the senses, which means the eyes, the ears, touching, living fantasies. We love carnival. We love masks. We love dresses. We love the avatar. We love the picture that we put in social media. This is all fantasy. We love storytelling. We need to design good stories for the people, and we also need to listen to the people, so they should also talk. It's not only us talking. We need people to talk. Social experiences are very important because we love to be a part of a group. Challenges are very important. We love the master. We love to solve challenges. For instance, the people in the chat that said that you like it, Cluedo. Cluedo is a mystery game about solving, a challenge. You're so happy if you win the game because we love to solve challenges. Discovering things is very important. Do you remember that I've been talking about surprises? Well, surprises are important, of course, and expression. So let people express themselves. Let people personalize, customize the experience. All that I'm saying is very important, and you should take it into consideration for anything you do. If you accomplish all of that, then you will get immersion. As immersion means that you are inside the experience, that you are having fun, that you don't care about the time, that you don't want to leave. Okay, this is just perfect. You want people to be immersed in education. You want people to be immersed in, treatment when dealing with that. Or you want people to be immersed with exercise because they need to practice sport. Okay? So I'm trying to give you like some hints. And of course, there are things that we need to avoid. There are things that we need to avoid. Okay? So gambling is not playing. Okay? This is very clear. Betting is not playing. This is something completely different. We are not talking about that. Remember, in the ATP, we will have a course on innovation and ethics. And there it will be very, very clear what is it that we should do and what is it that we shouldn't. So no, we are not talking about gambling. We are not talking about betting. No, we are not talking about. We are not talking about, wasting a broccoli, putting chocolate on the top of it to see if you eat the broccoli because you want to eat the chocolate, even if you hate the broccoli. Okay, this is not it. This is not what we are talking about. We are talking about something. You remember that I talking about John Radoff a while ago? Very fast, this man, I said, he knows a lot about the metaverse, but at the same time, he's a game designer. He has this beautiful list of fun tasks, fun activities. If you want to create a course, for instance, a learning course, a learning space could be seen as a metaverse, right? The metaverse, in the internet. And you want people to learn things there, you can create some activities that they can practice. And here you have a list of activities that are fun. All that you can see here is fun. So it's a good hint in order to create activities. Like, for instance, doing something that looks like finding a treasure is fun. Collecting things is fun. Competing is fun. Solving a mystery is fun. Nurturing, which means, taking care of some sort of creature like Furby or Tamagotchi is fun. Playing that you are wise, or playing that you are a hero, or playing that you are a rebel is fun. Exchanging gifts is fun. Connecting with the past is fun. Thinking about the future is fun. This is a great list of fun tasks by John Radoff that you can use for the designs. If you create a metaverse and you need to think about activities to happen inside, maybe you can be guided by this sort of, artifact. All these examples that I'm showing will be much more developed in the, playful, collaborative virtual reality spaces course in the ATP. Remember, today I don't have time, but I needed you to know what is that thing about. Remember that I said we are interested in designing experiences here. And of course, all that is about transformation. We want to transform people for the better. Of course, not for the worse. We want to transform people for the better. So I collect the card, and I share with you an example that I read some years ago, some time ago, 8 years ago. I remember I read this new 9 years ago about an author, and he wrote something like virtual reality is dying, how do we fix this? And it's like, whoa, what virtual reality is dying? Why it's been 60 years of virtual reality. What is happening here? Well, you have to go through this post. It was a very interesting post. It was written by this man, Nicolas Alcalá. He's an entrepreneur. He created a company about virtual reality, and he had to close the company, and he was so humble that he shared all his learning and everything he thought that had happened. The reason, though, I just took this piece here because I think that it's a very good conclusion. He ends the post saying the most important thing is the content. Content. Remember, we've been talking about that. It's not the technology. This is just the plate. You need a plate, but you don't have an experience with the plate. You don't have a hamburger with the plate. You eat nothing with the plate. Only. You need content. You need a good story. You need good characters. You need good epic content. And sometimes we design empty technological spaces have no real interesting content inside. And then nothing you don't want. Okay? I think that it's a powerful lesson. Okay, the lens of meaningful choices, which means, being a free spirit, as I said before, being autonomous, taking decisions, interesting decisions. You need to design interesting decisions. If the decisions are not interesting, no one wants to be in your metaverse. Okay? So we need the choices. I just wanted to share with you, first of all, some examples of experiences that come from playbooks or games. They are very important. If you look at the left, you will see to choose your adventure books. Maybe you know these books. These are interactive books where you can take decisions, where you are the protagonist, where you can finish in different ways. So you can read the book many times. And if you look at the right, you will see some video games, narrative video games that look like interactive cinema, very famous, where you can take a lot of decisions, a lot of decisions. And then if you look at the top, you will see that everything is about autonomy and control. Someone asking me once, Oscar, if you had to say something very simple about how to design an experience that is as good as a good game, what would you say? And I said, okay, autonomy and control. If you give me like just a couple of keywords, I will say autonomy and control. Do you want people to be happy using your system? Okay, give them autonomy, which means they can choose. They are not too directed. Secondly, give them a control, which means the difficulty is well connected with the skill. Because if I have a lot of skill and it's too easy, I will be bored. If I don't have a skill and it's too difficult, I will be frustrated. Autonomy and control, two keywords, and some examples that you have here about taking decisions. Taking decisions when I read, taking decisions when okay, we need to do that. Our metaverse. Last but not least, the lens of infinite inspiration. This is the last card. 1 hour and a half so far. We are very close to the end. 12 cards, 12 learnings, and I wanted to finish with some inspiration. Inspiration. I wrote here a couple of quotes. Maybe you can read them, in 10 seconds. You have one woman, you have one man, you have Satya, you have Neil. When I was talking at the beginning about the person that invented the metaverse term, I was meaning this man in the bottom, Neil Stephenson. And I think that it's interesting. The metaverse is here. And it is not only transforming how we see the world, but how we participate in it from the factory floor to the meeting room. So it's not about playing, it's about working, it's about everything. Now I go to the bottom. People are pieces of software called avatars. They are the audiovisual bodies that people use to communicate with one another in the metaverse. Well, the amazing thing is that Neil Stephenson wrote that thing 35 years ago, before everything. Right now, it's like that. Okay, so it's very amazing. Okay, so that was my webinar today, more or less 1 hour and a half. I know that I've been sending lots of cards. I know that I have been saying lots of things, but I hope you got like somehow inspiring. Okay, so thank you very much for being here today, and I will be more than happy to I don't know to assess or whatever. I mean, if you need, you have my email there. If you look at that, you will see my email there, and if you want to write something in the chat, I will be more than happy. If you can say something in the chat now, some idea now in the chat, like how was it? Did you find it interesting or whatever? I mean, you can say whatever thing you want. Okay. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. Thank you very much to you guys for being here today. Okay. Okay. Stop sharing. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Margarita. Martin, thank you. I know I said a lot. I know I said a lot. 1 hour and a half, a lot of stuff condensed, but it was about something. It was about wow, psychology, positive, metaverse, embargo, cookies, everything. Okay. So thank you very much. This is the end of the webinar. Remember that you can contact us anytime. You can follow us in the social networks. We are also LinkedIn, everywhere. Social. Okay. Have fun. Take care. Play. Gamify. Enjoy your metaverses. Okay. Bye bye. See you soon. Bye.